Mourning is the price we pay for having the courage to love others. Even in grief, we know that the wonder of human life is too complex, too magnificent to be memorialized in endless pain. The gifts of spirit our loved ones gave us cannot be measured or weighed, nor can they be lost or even tarnished by time. Even in our darkest hour, we know that some of their light and their warmth will always be with us, bringing comfort and courage and, in the fullness of time, healing and peace. Shiviti. I have set God always before me. Because God is at my right hand, I shall not be moved. Therefore my heart is glad and my glories rejoice. Shiviti Adonai, lenegdi tamid, ki mimi ba lemot. לכן שמח ליבי, ויגל כבודי, אף בשרי ישכון לבטח. כי לא תעזוב נפשי לשאול, לא ייתן חסידך לראות שעתך, תודיעני עוד החיים, עוד החיים. סובה שמחות את פניך, נעימות בימינך נצח. שיביתי אדוני לנגדי תמיד, כי מיני בה אמות. Good afternoon. I'm David Vamus, cantorial soloist at Temple Shalom and friend of Joanne's, and I'm honored to lead today's service on behalf of the Greisman family, as together we mourn the passing of Joanne, Yochevet Yael, the daughter of Joseph Van Buren and Bluebell Charlesworth, who left us on Tuesday, August 27th, 2024, the 23rd of Av, 5784, in the Hebrew calendar, at the age of 77 in Ramat Gan, Israel. Joanne was predeceased by her parents and siblings George, Carl, Brian, and Beryl. She leaves behind her eldest sibling Hugh, as well as her 3 wonderful children, with former husband Len, daughter Amanda and her partner Blair, Jenny and her husband Shabi, and son David, as well as the 5 treasures of her life, her grandchildren, Naomi, Ofri, Mayan, Emilia, and Kenna. Right before her cancer diagnosis 18 months ago, Joanne had been planning a trip to Korea, a place of fascination for her over the past number of years. Her children were all excited about this new adventure for her, but with this diagnosis and the resulting tests and surgery that she required, she pragmatically canceled the trip to focus on her health. Joanne did everything she could to give herself the best chance. She was meticulous about maintaining the right kind of diet, eliminating everything that fed the cancer. She did her exercises regularly, pushing herself to keep up her strength and regain it after surgery. She meditated and had a positive outlook on healing. Moving to Israel last year, making Aliyah in December in the hope that the country's advanced treatments might help. While this was sadly not to be, she maintained her sense of humor, her strength, and her determination. She was very pragmatic and organized, getting her affairs in order right away and approaching things matter-of-factly. Typically, we would say we are at the funeral of a person who has passed. However, today, it would be more accurate on this occasion to say that we are at Joanne's funeral, as she prepared so many meaningful words for us to read and hear throughout this process. Her own vidui, ethical will, obituary, even poetry. While we are here to honor her, she has honored us, her family and community, by creating these final memories. In these moments, we were reminded of our central teaching on the 7 acts of loving kindness. The first 2 dealing with death and how our very responsibility is to honor the deceased, placing it before our desire to stop and grieve and mourn. From that moment on August 27th until this moment here at the funeral, Joanne's family had put their lives on hold, taking care of all the funereal details, arranging travel, writing down memories, making phone calls, and so much more. Each of these acts honors the last steps of their mother's journey. And it will be from this moment on that the mourners now wear their torn ribbons, the symbol of Kriya that tell them it is okay now to grieve. And when we as a community will step in to perform the second act of 7 of the acts of loving kindness, as we now willingly commit to comfort the mourners. The eulogy is an essential element of the Jewish funeral. It is a time for us to mark the impact that a person had in the world and hear memories of Joanne that we will carry forward for the rest of our lives. I will first speak and tell you a little bit about Joanne's life, and then her children, Amanda, Jenny, and David, will come and share stories from her personal perspective. Born Joanne Van Buren to Bluebell Charlesworth and Joseph Van Buren, the last of 6 children, she was a late arrival with her 5 siblings, 12 to 20 years her senior. Memories of her childhood, first in Norwood and then Fort Garry, were vivid. Her mother and brothers, George and Carl, bought a snack shop with a car hop service in 1952. Van Buren's snack bar and restaurant was the backdrop of her early life, and there, under her mother's tutelage, she learned to work, to value every human being, to develop an open mind, to vote, as this is a responsibility and a privilege, to take enjoyment from simple things, to love, to revel in the miracle of time. Joanne had a lot of freedom to roam about as the snack bar was near the University of Manitoba, a yet-to-be highly developed area at this time. She rode on tractors, swung at haylofts, candled eggs, and was chased by the dreaded chickens. It was an unusual upbringing, mingling with university students from an early age. They were clearly a positive influence, though, as she could always be seen carrying a book in hand. She read the British classics, the Brontes, Austen, all at a young age, along with historical fiction and mysteries. Originally, her mother had intended Joanne to attend École Sacré-Cœur for French immersion, though through an error, she attended the convent of the Sacred Heart for 11 years. Her years there were not unpleasant. She began studying dance, tap, ballet, folk, and more at the age of 4 and loved it. At 16, she was the lucky convent girl chosen in the Comedy of Errors at St. Paul's High School, an experience never to be forgotten. Upon high school graduation, Joanne undertook a degree in English literature, then proceeded into the Faculty of Architecture. She met and married Len in 1971 and took a position at Leaf Rapids Corporation. She loved the job and excelled, frequently traveling to northern communities, and her fondest experience was taking Japanese dignitaries on a tour. But all good things come to an end, and LRC was closed by the Sterling Lion government. In the early 1970s, she ran for city council. She did not win, but still accomplished a goal of her platform, forming the River Osborne Association of Residents, which published a monthly newspaper and kept the developers honest in a time when there was a lot of developmental pressure. She would go on to work as the executive director of Heritage Winnipeg for 2 years, from 1980 to 82, And in the 90s, she would open Dimension Display, a display and trade show business in partnership with Len, for about 30 years, also providing the opportunity to work closely alongside her sister Beryl for several decades. In 1977, Amanda was born, followed by Jenny in 1982 and David in 1986. They were the most important people in her life. She was proud of their accomplishments, proud of their relationships. Joanne was open and interested in learning about other cultures and connecting to the world and the diversity of humankind, instilling these values in her children through homemade Mexican dinners, taking them to powwow in the Black Hills in the 90s, and planning many cross-country trips in the VW camper. Lots of laughs, lots seen and done, joy piled upon joy. Despite Joanne's Catholic upbringing, she knew from the age of 16 that she was not Catholic. She felt drawn to Judaism early on, inspired by reading the novel Exodus by Leon Uris, which she had been banned from taking from the convent library, eventually procuring a copy from the public library. She chose Judaism for herself, converting prior to having children to ensure that they would be Jewish from birth. She was particularly drawn to the Jewish notion of tikkun olam, repairing the world, and felt strongly that we should all work towards making the world a better place. After all, small acts of kindness on a daily basis add up. This commitment to charitable acts branched out into several areas, volunteering for many years at the Dugald Costume Museum, reorganizing the collection, taking on the accounting and essentially saving it from disaster during a particular difficult era. She was also involved in Chesed Shelemis, Winnipeg's Jewish Burial Society, as an integral part of the board for many years, being instrumental in convincing them to establish an endowment fund at the Jewish Foundation. Joanne appreciated Reform Judaism's forward thinking and acceptance of the diversity of human life. She was involved at Temple Shalom from the beginning with Rabbi Steinberg at the house on Stafford before the congregation moved to the current location. And she was temple president in the late 90s when longtime Rabbi Jeffrey Gale left the congregation and was instrumental in bringing Michael Levinson to Winnipeg. As president and new rabbi, they developed a quick friendship, which deepened throughout the years into steadfast companionship, past his tenure at Temple Shalom until his passing in 2008. While I will leave most of the personal stories to Amanda, Jenny, and David, I would like to add that it was during this period that I first got to know Joanne as an elegant, erudite woman with exceptional taste in the arts and fashion, among many other things. Soirees in her home seemed to me, as an impressionable teenager, to be the stuff made of old European salons, with prominent figures, artists, doctors, even a mayor or two, coming through the door for wine-filled evenings and Passover seders. Often with intergenerational friendships, the focus is on the younger person, though Joanne never made me feel naive or on a lower level. Instead, she welcomed me into her world, sharing details of her life as keenly as she took an interest in my own. And though a true friendship between a teenager and someone a generation or two older might have seemed unlikely, having this person in my life for 25 years, seeing her grow and change through her own eras, was a rare privilege and an honor. I would like to now invite Amanda, Jenny, and David to the Bima to share with us their stories of their mother.
Okay, last time I was up here, my voice cracked, so it won't be much different. Joanne Greisman. She was many things to many people. And for many here, she was a congregant and past president. To others, a coworker or a friend. For me, she was a hell of a mom. And she was my favorite roommate. She was my teacher, a confidant, a muse, a collaborator, and my best and worst influence. Oh, God. She taught me how to play crib, how to sew, how to organize a shopping cart, how to dream, how to handle a crisis, and how to see beauty in the world. But sadly, she did not teach me how to write a eulogy. My words escape me, and I wish I could share all of my memories. Maybe it's a Passover Seder, or a Shabbat, or a Hanukkah, or any other time that she brought other people together over food and games. Maybe it was a family trip to the Black Hills, or to the Maritimes, or Disneyland. Or maybe it's the time that she picked me up from school with a puppy in the front seat, and I had thought it was for me. But no, it was a stray dog that she had found stuck under a car and decided to adopt it in a moment. Or maybe it was just one of our thousands of games of crib. Where we laughed, we cried, and we shared life's joys and life's struggles. So, how is it that I can explain to you what she meant to me? Shit. It was her first word. And I know were her last words. It's the embodiment of who I knew my mom to be. Shit was famously her first word, coaxed out by her brothers, and as a kid, I loved that story, and as an adult, even more. It tells me that from the very first moment, she was destined to be a bit of a troublemaker. But not a troublemaker in a bad way. It was more that she could be stubborn, didn't like to be told what to do, didn't suffer fools gladly, and was not shy in speaking her mind. Some may consider these flaws, but to me, they are qualities of confidence. Told you. Qualities of confidence, agency, independence of thought, and worth emulating. As the youngest of 6 siblings, by 12 years, she was often left to herself. So as a child, she quickly became independent and an avid reader. And as a mother and grandmother, she read to us classic novels and told us bedtime stories. From Shakespeare to Korean dramas, she had an insatiable appetite for storytelling. In fact, any moment could turn into what I like to call story time with Joanne. On many occasions, she'd teleport me back in time with a story, usually about where she bought some vintage clothing, who designed it, and its significance in fashion history. Or while driving around, she'd tell me some obscure fact about a building we had just passed. Mom lived to be 77, and I wouldn't be surprised if she had had twice as many hobbies and passions. Seeking knowledge wherever it led, she encouraged us to follow our own passions and reveled in what we discovered, because nothing was off limits. She was sharp and witty, and with a wry yet playful sense of humor, laughing came easily, and especially in hard times. She played games for the enjoyment and not to win, and celebrated others' victories. She could see the world. She could see the beauty in the world, even when the world is scary. Her last words to me were, "I know," as I told her, "We're doing our best." But Mom, I realized in my last days with her how selfish I had been, because I had thought that she was only mom to my sisters and I. But Mom walked through the world taking care of all people. Our friends needing a safe place to grow, a dog needing a home, or a dog needing a home, or bringing food to people on the street, or simply showing appreciation for the staff while she was in the hospice. She loved all of us, and she trusted us. She trusted us to make mistakes. She trusted us to learn. And now she trusts us to take care of each other without her.
Sorry if I'm going to be a bit repetitive. Although more than a month has passed, I still struggle to find the words to express myself. How can I distill everything I feel into a few short paragraphs? How can a few lines do justice to the 42 years we had together, or the 77 years she had on this earth? For this question and so many others, I find myself thinking, what would Mum say? This time I know she would calmly remind me that it doesn't need to be perfect or to express everything I feel. It just needs to be what I want to share with you right now. The truth is that I'm not a writer, nor a great public speaker. I received a few other traits from Mum, though, including procrastination, a love of dancing, and an interest in fashion that doesn't correlate to the clothes I wear. But unfortunately, Mum's gift for writing passed over me. Regardless, I hope I'm able to share a few nuggets about her that will make you smile despite my poor writing. When I think about my mum, I can't help but also think about my own children. We are, after all, a continuum, le dor va dor. The moment Naomi was born, I changed in ways I hadn't anticipated. How could such a tiny being create such an immeasurable and unconditional love so instantaneously? As she was thrust into the world, I was thrust into motherhood. I was now responsible for nurturing a new human life, a fragile and delicate body, mind, and soul. What lessons, values, and traits would Mum pass to me and to my children? As we've already heard, Mum was the youngest of 6 children, a very much planned and wanted last child. She was precocious and inquisitive, maybe a little too much so for the nuns who taught her at the convent. By the time she left the school at the end of grade 11, she knew that she would be walking her own path. Mum's initial interest in Judaism was sparked by reading Exodus by Leon Uris, which the nuns forbade her from borrowing from the school library. Luckily, my grandmother didn't believe in censorship and encouraged her to borrow it from the public library. Her interest in Judaism continued into early adulthood, choosing to officially convert in the late 1970s. She ensured that her conversion was completed before Amanda was born, knowing that she wanted to raise her children in a Jewish family. Mum was particularly drawn to Reform Judaism for its emphasis on ethical monotheism, social justice or tikkun olam, and the importance of individual choice in interpreting Jewish law. At Temple Shalom, she found a community for the whole family, where we could grow in our Judaism and we could all continue on our own paths. And so too at home we had the freedom to learn, think for ourselves, make our own decisions, and learn from our own mistakes. Mum was loving and supportive in my often difficult teenage decisions, whether it was bleaching and coloring my hair blue in junior high or going on a trip to Israel. I was given the opportunity to learn experientially for myself. Of course, this meant that my decisions didn't always align with her wishes or ideas for me. 3 months after Shabby and I were married, the matter of human mortality came sharply into view. We decided that life is too short. We wanted our children to have the opportunity to know their grandparents and for our parents to know their grandchildren. But Mum grew up in a different time, and the news of my pregnancy in the middle of med school didn't garner the welcome I had hoped. She was a planner, always organized, and she couldn't yet see how this newly shaped Tetris block, this soon-to-be bundle of chaos, could fit into my life plan. I assured her that my education would not be put on hold and that I would not drop out. Like her, I would accomplish my own goals in my own way. And thus, I thrust her too into a new role, grandmother. Despite her initial qualms, her unconditional love and support multiplied as our family grew. Just as she was a fun mom, eager to teach and create together, she was an amazing grandma. From loving newborn cuddles to bedtime fuzzy and brownie stories, she was there for the early years. From meticulously handmade doll clothes and costumes to nature walks along the river culminating at Sergeant Sunday, to grandma camp, science and art experiments, she was there for the elementary school years. And I'm so grateful that she had the opportunity to impress my daughters with her breadth of knowledge in their discussions about life, language, history, and philosophy in the last few years. Mom was always interested in something new, always reading and learning, never bored. She truly loved learning, and she could spend hours reading on a new topic, diving deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole. She was eager to share not only her knowledge, but her love of learning. And she especially loved words, so much so she wrote an essay about it in junior high. Her love of words was apparent in every day. Ask for the definition, and it was uncanny how close she'd give to the actual dictionary entry. So as I struggle to find the right words now, I try to think of what words of wisdom she might have for me. Be curious, value your mind, form your own opinions, set your own goals, forge your own path. Be kind, have compassion for yourself and for others, and love unconditionally.
My mom said not too many eulogies because it would get repetitive, and we didn't check with each other in advance. So, yeah, a few, whoops. Anyway, when I was little, probably starting around 3 years old, my mom and I used to play word games. The earliest one I remember was name the baby animal, but not just the basic puppies and kittens. She taught me the cooler ones, like baby fox is a kit and a baby swan is a cygnet. Another favorite was the adjective game, where we'd pick a letter of the alphabet and go back and forth saying all the adjectives we could think of that started with that letter. This is no doubt why a friend's first recollection of meeting me in kindergarten was that I told her that my cookie was scrumptious. When I was older still, we'd go out to eat and play Jeopardy with Mom as Alex Trebek and her boundless supply of questions in any category we threw at her. I loved playing these learning games with Mom. It ignited in me a love of language and a hunger for knowledge, which I think is exactly what she wanted to instill. I was always in awe of how much she knew. Ask what a word meant, and you'd get the definition, a list of synonyms, and sometimes even the etymology. And not just as a kid, but throughout my life. Well before Ask Siri was Ask Mom. And Ask Mom was way better because she could answer all sorts of ungoogleable questions. Mom, what was the name of that restaurant in England where we had that amazing Indian food? How old was I when you gave me my cow stuffy? And she wouldn't just give the name of the restaurant or my age when I received the cow. She would recollect the whole story of how we came across the Golden Curry restaurant, the dishes we tried, the atmosphere inside, and the night would come alive in my memory too. She would tell me of seeing the cow at my preschool's craft sale, and how the stuffy just called out to her and she knew it was meant for me. She'd reminisce how I cuddled it every night until I was older than you need to know. And I'd marvel at how she totally nailed it, as I still have that beloved cow stuffy to this day. For Mom, knowledge was about more than just having answers and being smart, although no one can dispute she was that. It was about opening your mind, understanding, and making things meaningful in order to connect to all the wonderful things that the world has to offer. This is why she was so supportive whenever I went traveling. She encouraged me to go out and explore, knowing that these experiences would be the best way to learn about myself, the world, and the people in it. I realized retrospectively how cool and somewhat unconventional she was, fully approving of my globe-trotting while my friends went to university. And while she fostered my growing independence, I always knew where home was and that Mom was waiting with open arms to welcome me back. Mom always had open arms to welcome people. In my high school and university years, our home was hopping. We billeted high school students studying at the Royal Winnipeg Ballet, who immediately became a part of the family. Over 30 years have passed, yet they reached out to share their fond memories with my mom, thanking her for the love she showed and for giving them a home away from home. Mom also hosted amazing Passover Seders, where she let us invite an absurd amount of friends. But that's no surprise. It fits so well with her values. Share the stories, the traditions, the experience, the joy. Mom was always happy to have my friends come over, and because, I don't know what that says, and because she was the cool mom, our house became the go-to house for hanging out. She let me have parties and after parties, giving me the freedom to play while making sure I was safe and responsible. I was always grateful for this, and even at the time, I knew how lucky I was. What I didn't know until recently was how it impacted others, and how that was my mom's greater vision all along, not just getting the cool mom title. A few of my friends sent messages for my mom in those last weeks, and she asked me to read them to her several times because they touched her so deeply. And because their messages and experiences meant so much to her, I'm just going to read some excerpts now. Please tell her how much I look up to her as a parent, especially now that I have teenagers. She was always so welcoming and accepting to all of us when we were over there all the time. The best mama to all your friends. It's crazy to think that your mom had so much parenting skill and confidence. She looked after those RWB students too. I always thought it was so great that your family did that. It's also still so amazing that on the first day of grade 10, when I didn't know anyone, you invited me over to watch Days of Our Lives. Your mom let all of us come over anytime, and there seemed to be an endless supply of Ripple chips and onion dip. Another one. It is impossible for me to think of my late teens and early 20s without thinking of your house and also your mom. Your home was a welcoming, happy place where we could kick back and be ourselves. We felt safe but not judged. We partied but never irresponsibly or too hard. It honestly often felt like we were all a part of your family. Your mom was always there with a kind word, a snack, a smile, or a laugh, to support us if we needed it but not to interfere, to let us have fun and grow into the quasi-adults that we were about to become. It's like the entire late 90s and early 2000s happened under your roof. I realize now that happy places and good times like that don't just happen, they are created. Your mom created that space for us, and so we owe many of those memories and moments to her. We spent time celebrating together but learned a lot too. I remember being so excited to be included in your family's Passover dinner and invited to your brother's bar mitzvah. Everything I know and respect about Judaism started with your family around your Seder table. I think back to the wonder and warmth I felt in your home that night on every single Passover, and I always will. Joanne, thank you for welcoming us all in, for putting up with our noise and silliness, and for your kindness, your grace, and sense of humor through it all. As far as I'm concerned, you were the original cool mom, before that was even a thing. We love you. So yeah, she was a cool mom, but it was because she was creating that space that allowed us to grow into ourselves, knowing we were safe and cared for. And it was her accepting and welcoming open arms that made it home. There are so many other things that I want to say about her, all the little bits and pieces that I don't know where to fit in, but that I want to say because they were a part of who she was. She could pack a suitcase or a grocery cart like she was playing a perfect game of Tetris, which she secretly liked to play when she thought all the kids had gone to bed. She made incredible animal-shaped pancakes, elephants, giraffes, mice, rabbits, all with nothing more than the deft use of a spoon. Saying anything that was slightly reminiscent of a lyric would make her break out in song, a trait she passed down to us kids, also singing off-key like her. She hated being wasteful and would find clever ways to reuse things, wrapping presents with old comics, turning my kids' pants with ripped knees into perfectly good shorts, making doll clothes out of old shirt sleeves, and so on. She could calmly squash a wasp with nothing more than a Kleenex. She would do that funny little dance from the Snoopy cartoons to make us laugh. She taught me how to drive stick shift when I was 15 and had the patience of a saint as I jackrabbited around the old stadium parking lot. She was sentimental and saved stacks of memory boxes full of our childhood memories, as well as some favorite childhood outfits that I had the joy of passing on to my own girls. When I was in elementary school, she wrote sweet little notes that she put in my school lunches every day. Cute little rhymes, sometimes accompanied by a drawing, always letting me know she loved me. And there it is. Love. Boundless love. We told each other how much we loved each other all the time. We played a game when I was little, saying we loved each other more than all sorts of things. Mommy, I love you more than bunnies. I love you more than ice cream. And she would volley back. I love you more than licorice pipes, my little Amanda Mouse. I love you more than the moon. Over my lifetime, this continued, morphing into our eventual I love you past the moon, the sun, the stars version. Always looking for the biggest expanse of love. But it wasn't just in words. It was everywhere, all the time. In her cheery morning wake-up songs and the bedtime books and stories. In the towels she pulled fresh from the dryer to wrap us in warmth after a swim. In the plethora of Halloween costumes she sewed for us and her granddaughters. In the late night house coat clad pickups as a volunteer designated driver. In coming to every prenatal appointment with me and helping me learn how to be a mom myself. In every experiment at grandma camp, in the visits to my craft markets, in the homemade matzo ball soup she always brought over when I was sick, regardless of how old I was. In every text and every call, in every kiss and every cuddle. I am so grateful that I knew love like this.
Apart from specific prayers of mourning and condolence, music is not typically a large part of a Jewish funeral service. It was, however, a touchstone spiritually for Joanne. She asked that a couple extra pieces be included, and that the melodies be those most loved by cherished friend Michael Levinson. The first of these is Hashkivenu, often referred to as the Jewish lullaby on a Friday night service. The prayer very appropriately envisions God as a guide and shelter during the night, and offers thanks to God for watching over us, delivering us, and being merciful as we rest. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Shalom Mehamidenu Malkeinu L'chaim Ufros Aleinu Sukan Shilomecha Takneinu b'tzatova milfa והושיענו למען שמך. והגן בעדנו, והגן בעדנו, בעדנו, וחסר מעלינו אויב דבר, דבר וחרב, וחרב ורב יעקב. I would like to now call up Linda Freed for the reading of Joanne's ethical will. The ethical will is an ancient document from the Jewish tradition that passes down moral values from one generation to the next. It is a way one can express their experiences, values, and other important themes and life lessons they wish to impart. In many ways, this kind of advice giving offers more than anything of monetary value. It is a personal link from one family's generation to the next, the Dor Vador.
Joanne and I only became friends in the older years of our lives, but we had a lot of fun and a lot of really great conversations, and I know I will always have her in my heart. She wrote this, of course. There's a tradition in Judaism not just to draw up a will dealing with the trappings of life, one's tangible assets, but to write a document as a compass for living. To some degree, this is a reflection of my life's failures and modest successes, but hopefully you will take my words to heart. My life has not been perfect, and I have strayed again and again. Missing the mark is insignificant. There is no question that I could not love my children more. I could not be more proud of the people you have become. And now there's a numbered list. 1, set a goal. Even if it is just for this moment, take aim and make an effort. Success is standing defiantly after every failure and making an effort once more. 2, hunger for knowledge no matter what your age. Learning opens doors to new perspectives, new ideas, new possibilities. It is a means to connecting with the world and seeing in others who are superficially different from ourselves the astounding similarities. It really is okay to know a little about a lot. 3, let music imbue you with a euphoria for living. Dance a little or a lot every day as if your life depends upon it. Let the dance infuse you with an effervescent happiness. Sing with glorious exuberance, even if you are off key. 4, laugh a lot at your own foibles, at the difficulties of life. It will lighten the load. 5, be kind to yourself, to your children, and to others, to the stranger, for once we were all strangers. It is right, and it feels good. 6, be social, for we are intrinsically social creatures. And be gracious. It can't hurt. 7, see and live in Technicolor. And then you will appreciate the awesome nature of this world and the people who inhabit it. 8, stand up for yourself. You are awesome. Be your own best advocate. 9, make your life matter. Care for others and live with panache. Most lives are not awe-inspiring in their achievements, nor are many eloquent affairs. Life is mostly getting through this day, this week, this year. Do something good and positive each and every day, no matter how small it may seem. 10, choose life. Live authentically and fully. Be yourself, share who you are. In some small way, appreciate the miracle of life every day. The grandest achievements in my life are my children, Amanda, Jenny, and David, and by extension, my 5 delightful granddaughters, Naomi, Afri, Mayanne, Amelia, and Kenna. How was I to know the intensity of my love? In the end, you are all that matter.
Shalom Rav. Grant abundant peace over Israel, your people, forever. For you are the sovereign source of all peace. So may it be good in your eyes to bless your people Israel in every season and in every hour with your peace. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amecha Tasim leolam, Tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amecha, Tasim leolam, Tasim leolam. Yatahu melech adon lechol ashalom. Ki yatahu melech adon lechol ashalom. V'tov be'necha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol et bechol shabishlomecha. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha tasim leolam, Tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha tasim leolam, Tasim leolam. Amanda, Jenny, and David will now share a poem written by Joanne shortly before her passing, after which Amanda will share a letter written for her mother in her final days.
I am a wisp of wind, a silent gust fluttering the leaves, living in memory, a zephyr in each breath.
I am in the scent of fresh ginger tea, or the sweet aroma of a peanut butter cookie, or in the lushness of the leaf.
I am the whir of a sewing machine, the clamor of a fabric sale, in a game of Clued Up.
I am walking at the zoo, singing happy birthday, cheering every achievement, big and small, in every loving card and drawing, in the admiration of newly designed earrings.
I am Friday night dinners, sitting by the pool on a hot day, prepping for Seder, playing a board game, and in the click-click of knitting needles.
I am laughter and a game of crib, watching a K-drama or a Marvel movie. I am the joy with each new photo or video and the fun of every new obsession. I am in every bear hug.
Look for me in the clouds, riding with the Monkey King.
When the light has consumed me, let fireflies glow in your soul.
When my body ceases to be, soak up your sadness in the joy of living.
Cherish life.
I am here.
Part of the vast universe.
In the scent of garden flowers.
The warmth of a dog.
A gentle touch.
In the kindness in your heart. I'd written this to read to my mom privately when I went over to Israel, and I ended up reading it in front of Jenny and David and to my mom, and she asked me to read it here today. I can never capture all my wonderful memories in a list, because luckily there are far too many. They are big, they are small, they are woven into the everyday where you may not even realize they were significant. At first I was worried I was going to lose memories as time goes on, but I know now the opposite is true. I will find myself remembering moments that lay dormant, blooming back to life unexpectedly at a scent, a word, a sound, a sight. They will come tumbling out, unstoppable, while chatting and laughing with Jenny and David. They will fill my heart to bursting through a cuddle with Amelia and Kenna. I'll never be ready to say goodbye because you are too crucial a part of my life to lose. I will always want more. More sunny days at Leo Mole, more sleepovers for the kids, more stories, more board games, more birthdays, more dinners, more time to talk, more time to listen, more time, more time. But like you wrote in your beautiful poem, you will always be with me, walking at the zoo, watching school recitals, sitting at the Passover Seder, sharing our joys and guiding me to make the world a better place by living a life of kindness, forgiveness, generosity, gratitude, and love. I could write endlessly, but never convey the depth of what you mean to me. I love you past the moon, the sun, and the stars, to the edges of the ever-expanding universe, and throughout the multiverse, forever.
We will shortly move to conclude the service with El Male Rachamim in Hebrew and in English, and a recitation by the family and those who wish to join in Kaddish Otom, the mourner's Kaddish. After its conclusion, the family will leave the sanctuary first, and they have decided to bring with them the objects in front of us so that we may look on them downstairs at the social hall as well. We will then give them a few minutes to be together prior to gathering downstairs here at Temple Shalom for a meal of consolation. Interment will take place at Chapel Lawn at a later date in a private ceremony. Shiva will take place at Joanne's house at 145 Kenniston Boulevard. Tonight it's from 6 to 8, and tomorrow and Monday from 5 till 8. Jewish tradition also holds a beautiful custom of giving to charity when someone passes, or on the anniversary of their passing as well. Every time we give a gift, we are reminded of the person and the memories of their life come flooding back to us. Donation in Joanne's honor may be made to Cancer Care Manitoba. Consider that as a part of the way of honoring her life. We'll move now to the El Male Rachamim. I will chant in Hebrew first before reciting in English. Please stand if you are able. El Male Rachamim Shoche מרומי. המצא מנוחה נכונה תחת כנפי השכינה. אם קדושים וטהורים כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים. את נשמת יוכבד יעל בת אברהם ושרה שהלכו לעולמים מעל הרחמים. יסתירם בסתר כנפיו לעולמים. יצרור מצרור החיים את נשמתם. אדוני הוא נחלתם. ילכו בשלום על משכבה. ונאמר Amen. May the source of life, the fountain of all being, open our hearts to compassion and our eyes to wisdom, that we might glimpse in perfect peace and sadness the way of all things. May Joanne's memory be for a blessing, and may we never let the light of her love grow dim in our hearts. May we remember all her worthy and righteous deeds, that her memory be forever bound up in the bond of life. God is our source and our destination, our beginning and our end. May Joanne's death awaken us to this truth, that the bond of love we shared and share not be severed in sorrow. May she rest in peace as together we say, Amen. I will ask you to remain standing as we recite the Mourner's Kaddish. This is a prayer written in English and Hebrew, and although at its face value it doesn't have any reference to death and passing, there are in fact all kinds of references from the source text behind it that suggests it is a prayer of wishing and waiting for the next world to come, when we will be reunited with our loved ones. Our tradition holds that even if we don't know the prayer, but simply say Amen at the right time, it is as though we have said the entire prayer. So, for those who are not familiar, I will simply raise my hand at the appropriate moment and encourage you to join me in saying Amen. May the love and eternal connection of our souls give us strength as we turn to recite the words hallowed by time, sanctifying the name of God. We honor the memory of Joanne Greisman, Yochebed Yalvet Abraham Vesara, Kaddish Yatom, and together. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. Amen. Ve'alma divrach yiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh v'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayeh d'chol bet Yisrael ba'agala u'bizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. Vitadar, vitale, vitalal, shmei dekudesha barichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imeru, amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'el kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Ose shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, Aleinu ve'el kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Please be seated. I will read the last two blessings in English as they are universal and particularly appropriate in this time, not only for peace in our household, but for peace in the world. May there be abundant peace from heaven and life for us in Israel, to which we say, Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all of Israel, to which we say, Amen. As we conclude, if anyone requires an elevator to go downstairs for the meal of condolence, please meet Ruth Livingston at the back of the sanctuary, and she will accompany you in the elevator downstairs to the basement where the social hall is located. I will now ask the family to depart the sanctuary first, and we will join them downstairs in the social hall shortly.